This is Mr. Beck Does Your Homework. This is AP Physics, Homework 8.2, question number 6. The tire on a bicycle is filled with air to a gauge pressure of 499 kPa at 20 degrees Celsius. So I know that my initial pressure is 499, but that's not absolute. That's the pressure inside. But if it's a gauge pressure, that means it's that many more than atmosphere. So I've got 499 kPa. To that, I've got to add 101.3 kPa, which is an atmosphere. So that's going to be my pressure, is those two added together at 20 degrees Celsius. So my initial temperature is going to be 20 degrees Celsius, and I'm going to want to add 273 to that to get it into Kelvin. So that's going to give me so many Kelvin. What is the gauge pressure in the tire after a ride on a hot day when the tire air temperature is 54 degrees Celsius? Well, that's telling me that my new temperature is going to be 54 plus 273. That's going to be my new temperature. And it wants to know what's the new pressure, the gauge pressure. So I can't figure out the gauge pressure directly, but I can figure out the absolute pressure pretty easily. So again, this is a case where Pivnert becomes the universal gas, the combined gas law, where P1V1 over T1 equals P2V2 over T2. But in this case, the volume is held constant, so I get P1 over T1 equals P2 over T2. So I can say P1 over T1 equals P2 over T2. I'm looking for P2. And so if I plug in my P1 of 499 plus 101.3, that's my initial pressure, divided by my initial temperature, which is 20 plus 273, equals P2, well that's what I'm looking for, divided by T2, which is 54 plus 273. Then I can solve for P2. But that's going to be my absolute pressure. Okay, this is my absolute pressure. So if I take that and I subtract 101.3, that'll give me my gauge pressure. That'll give me my gauge pressure because I got to subtract the atmosphere again. Now you might say, well, you haven't been worrying about things when they're in the same units before, but here I do have to worry because I've got kPa's and because I've got a non-absolute measure. Just like Celsius is non-absolute, gauge pressure is non-absolute. So I have to go to absolute pressure in order for the gas laws to work.